I still remember the exact weight of that envelope in my hands. Thick, heavy, like it was holding not just money, but the final breath of a marriage I had given everything to save. He placed it on the kitchen counter. No flowers, no tears, just cold, hard cash. $50,000, bands of $100 bills wrapped in a white bank strap, and his voice was the coldest thing I had ever heard. Take it and never come back. That was it. 14 years of my life. 14 years of holding his hand through job losses, through his mother's illness, through nights when he cried in my arms because he felt like a failure. I was there. I was always there. And now he was paying me to disappear. But what he didn't know that day, what he could never have predicted, was that I wasn't the same woman he had married. And my revenge? It wouldn't come with a scream or a fight. It would come with a smile. And a truth so sharp it cut deeper than any knife. Let me start from the beginning. My name is Lena. And this is the story of how $50,000 bought a man the shock of his life. I met Mark when I was 22, fresh out of college, full of dreams, and stupid enough to believe that love was about suffering beautifully. He was charming. The kind of guy who remembered how you took your coffee and sent you songs at 2 a.m. He made me feel seen. For the first time in my life, I felt like I wasn't invisible. We got married 2 years later. Small ceremony. I wore a white dress my mother helped me sew. He cried at the altar. Everyone said we were perfect. And for a while, we were. We built a life. A small house with a garden I loved, 2 rescue dogs, weekend barbecues with neighbors. I worked 2 jobs while he tried to start his own construction business. I didn't complain. That's what wives do, right? We hold the fort. We believe in the comeback. His business finally took off 5 years in. Big contracts, a new truck, a new house. And slowly, almost like a frog in boiling water, he started changing. The late nights at work became more frequent. He stopped holding my hand. He stopped laughing at my jokes. When I asked if something was wrong, he'd say, "I'm just tired, Lena. Don't be so needy." And I believed him. Because that's what broken love does. It makes you question yourself before you ever question them. The first real crack appeared 3 years ago. I found a receipt in his jacket pocket, a hotel downtown, not a business trip. His face went pale when I asked. Then he got angry. "You're going through my things? You're suffocating me." I cried. He apologized. We went to counseling. He promised it was a one-time mistake. "I was lonely," he said. "You were always working. Somehow I ended up apologizing too." That's the sick part. When someone betrays you and you blame yourself for not being enough. I stayed because I thought if I tried harder, cooked better meals, dressed nicer, laughed louder, maybe the old Mark would come back. But he never did. Instead, he got colder, more distant. Until one Tuesday evening, a normal Tuesday, I had just finished grocery shopping. He walked into the kitchen and said the words that shattered me. "I don't love you anymore, Lena. I haven't for a long time. I've met someone else, and I want you to leave." I couldn't breathe. My hands were still holding a bag of oranges. I remember setting them down very slowly, like the world was made of glass. "Who?" I whispered. "Does it matter?" It did matter. It always matters. But he wouldn't tell me. Not then. He just pulled that envelope from his briefcase. $50,000. Said it was generous. Said I should be grateful. "Take it and sign the papers. I already have a lawyer. Don't make this ugly." I looked at the money. Then at his face. The man who once cried at our wedding was now staring at me like I was a sales contract he wanted to terminate. And in that moment, something inside me didn't break. It snapped, but not into anger, into clarity. I picked up the envelope. I looked him straight in the eye. And I said, the only word I could think of, "Okay." He blinked. Surprised I didn't fight. He probably expected screaming, crying, begging. Instead, I just walked to the bedroom and started packing a bag. Behind me, I heard him exhale. Relief. Poor man. He had no idea what was coming. I left that night, not because he told me to, but because I needed space to think. I drove to my sister's house. She lived 40 minutes away. When I showed up on her doorstep with a duffel bag and red eyes, she didn't ask questions. She just opened her arms. "What did he do now?" she said. I handed her the envelope. She counted it. Then she looked at me like I had lost my mind. 50,000? Lena, this is insane. Are you going to take it? Yes, I said. Just like that, you're going to let him buy you off? I smiled, not a happy smile, a dangerous one. No, I said, I'm going to let him think he bought me off. Then I'm going to use every single dollar to destroy the life he thinks he's going to have with her. My sister hugged me, and that night, we started planning. But first, I had to find out who her was. That took 2 weeks. 2 weeks of pretending to be broken. I didn't contact Mark. I let him believe I was crying in a motel somewhere. He sent me one text, sign the papers. I'll send the address. No, are you okay? No, I'm sorry, just business. That text told me everything. He didn't see me as a person anymore. He saw me as a problem he had paid to go away. So I hired a private investigator, a quiet woman named Rosa, recommended by a friend of a friend. She was good. Very good. Within a week, she handed me a file that made my blood run cold. The other woman's name was Chloe. She was 26, a real estate agent. Blonde, tan, exactly the opposite of me. And she had been seeing Mark for over 2 years. 2 years, while I was cooking his dinners, while I was lying next to him in bed, while I was defending him to my friends who said he seemed distant. Rosa also found something else. Mark had taken out a second mortgage on our house without my knowledge. He had moved half the equity into an account under Chloe's name. They were planning to buy a vacation home together. A love nest, Rosa called it. I remember sitting in my sister's kitchen, staring at those bank statements. My hands were shaking. Not from sadness anymore, from rage. Pure, cold rage. He didn't just cheat. He stole from me. He stole our future. And then he had the audacity to offer me $50,000 like he was doing me a favor. That money wasn't a settlement. It was hush money. He wanted me gone before I found out the truth, but I already knew. And now I had to decide what kind of revenge I wanted. I could have gone to a lawyer. I could have taken him to court, but that would take years, and he would find a way to drag my name through the mud. No. I wanted something cleaner, faster, more poetic. I wanted him to lose everything. And I wanted Chloe to see exactly what kind of man she had chosen. So I made a list. 3 steps. 1, I would accept the $50,000 publicly. I would even sign the divorce papers. Let him think I was weak. Let him think I had given up. 2, I would use the money to befriend Chloe from a distance. Through a fake social media account, I would become her online friend, find out her insecurities, her fears, her secrets. 3, I would expose Mark for the liar he was. But not to the world, to the one person whose opinion he cared about most, his mother. You see, Mark's mother, Eleanor, was the only person he ever wanted to impress. She was a tough woman, old school. She hated liars and cheaters, and she adored me. I had taken care of her during her cancer treatments while Mark was working late. She called me her daughter. If Eleanor knew what Mark had done and who he had done it with, she would cut him off completely, not just emotionally, financially. Because the house we lived in, it belonged to Eleanor's trust. Mark had been renting it from her for $1 a year. If she found out he had taken a second mortgage on her property, He would lose everything. That was my revenge. Not violence, not screaming, just the truth, delivered by the one person he couldn't lie to. The plan took 3 months. 3 months of playing the broken ex-wife. I sent Mark a tearful voicemail saying I had signed the papers. I returned his calls with a shaky voice. I even showed up to sign the divorce agreement in an old sweatshirt with no makeup. He looked at me with pity. The fool actually felt sorry for me. Inside, I was laughing. Meanwhile, my fake online persona, Jessica, a yoga instructor from the next town, became Chloe's new best friend. We messaged every day. She told me everything. How she and Mark had met at a bar. How he had told her I was crazy and controlling. How they were planning to get married as soon as the divorce was final. She also sent me photos. Photos of them at a beach house I had never seen. Photos of Mark smiling in a way he hadn't smiled at me in years. Each photo was a knife. But I didn't cry. I saved them. All of them. And then, on a quiet Sunday in November, I finally called Eleanor. Eleanor and I met for tea at a small cafe near her retirement village. She hugged me tight. "Lena, darling, I've missed you." Mark said you two decided to separate, but he wouldn't tell me why. I sipped my tea, let a single tear fall. Then I pulled out a folder. "Eleanor, I love you like a mother," I said, "which is why I have to show you the truth. Mark didn't just leave me. He stole from you. And he's been lying to everyone." I opened the folder. Inside were the bank statements showing the second mortgage on her property, the receipts from the hotel, the text between Mark and Chloe, and the photos from the beach house. Eleanor's face went from confusion to disbelief to pure, icy fury. "He took a mortgage on my house?" she whispered. "Without your signature," I said. "He forged it. I have proof from the bank." She was silent for a long time. Then she looked at me with eyes that had raised a difficult son and survived a difficult life. "I always knew he was weak," she said, "but I never thought he was a thief. Thank you, Lena, for telling me. Now, let me handle him." 3 days later, Mark called me. He was screaming. "What did you tell my mother? She's evicting me. She's calling the police about fraud. Lena, what did you do?" I didn't scream back. I didn't laugh. I just spoke very calmly. "I did nothing, Mark. I just showed your mother the truth. The same truth you tried to hide with $50,000. You're a monster," he yelled. "No," I said. "I'm just the woman you should never have betrayed." I hung up. Then I blocked his number. The fallout was beautiful. Eleanor pressed charges for fraud. The second mortgage was voided. Mark lost the house, the beach property, and Chloe, who found out he had lied about being divorced for 2 years. She left him the same week. His business contracts dried up when clients heard about the fraud case. Within 6 months, he was living in a studio apartment, working a manual labor job. The same job he had when I met him. But this time, there was no one to hold his hand. No one to cook his meals. No one to believe in him. And me? I took the $50,000 and did something I had always dreamed of. I opened a small cafe. My sister is my business partner. It's called Second Chapter. We serve the best croissants in town. And every morning I look out the window and feel something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Some people think revenge is about destruction. But the best revenge, the kind that heals you, is building a life so full, so beautiful, that the person who broke you becomes nothing more than a footnote. I don't hate Mark anymore. I don't even think about him much. But I'll never forget the lesson he taught me. Never let someone pay you to leave. Make them pay for making you stay too long. That's my story. If you've ever been betrayed, if you've ever been handed cash like you were nothing, remember this. Your worth is not in the envelope they give you. It's in the life you build after they're gone. Thank you for listening. And always remember, silence can be the loudest revenge of all.